Hi everyone, my name's Tora, and today I want to talk to you about Planetary Days. And this is the first episode in my Astro Magic series. It's something I've been exploring through lived experience for the last year or so. And honestly, it's been so enlightening to work with the planets with intention. I love how simple it is to start incorporating planetary days into your life. And I've really been able to navigate my own unplugging from such a modern, busy, fast paced world that we live in. So if we start off with the seven visible planets, in the Chaldean order, this is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And each of these seven visible planets corresponds with one of the 7 days of the week. So Sunday is associated with the Sun, Monday, the Moon, Tuesday, Mars, Wednesday, Mercury, Thursday, Jupiter, Friday, Venus, and Saturday, Saturn. And once you start paying attention to the different essences of the day, how the feel and energy shape shifts through the cyclic rhythm of the week, you really do start to understand the nature of the planets and ultimately the nature of you. Because in your natal chart, you have all of these planets, they are a part of you. And so just by understanding them a little bit more, you do kind of understand yourself. And if we think about an example, so both Taurus and Libra are ruled by Venus, and Venus is about art, love, relationships, pleasure, food, aesthetics, beauty, all of those themes then show up and bleed into the energy of the day. So I want to talk about the accidental magic. These are all the things that you're probably already doing subconsciously without even realizing that they play into the energy and the planetary kind of energy of the day. And there was a few things that I'd been doing subconsciously that I didn't even realize kind of aligned. And I'm going to give you some examples because it might then trigger your own kind of understanding of what you're already doing. So one thing that I've been doing for a few years now is having my therapy sessions on a Monday, ruled by the moon. Now, the moon is not only our feelings and our emotions, it's our somatic inner world, and it's where the subconscious meets the mind. And I think it's the perfect backdrop to explore the inner psyche in an intimate setting. And I think it's really nice how the moon kind of makes me feel safe to disclose whatever I'm disclosing in therapy. It provides a really nice, warm, and inviting energy. Another thing that I do is I go to a restorative yoga class on a Friday, and Fridays are ruled by Venus. Venus is all about the senses, and my yoga teacher is very good at awakening all of those senses. So at the beginning of a session, she will often bring in some homemade essential oil mix that we'll kind of anoint ourselves with. And the smells are just really lovely and grounding. She will also sometimes bring in her sound bowls, which are amazing. And she'll have Reiki infused music throughout. And if we're really lucky at the end, sometimes she gives us some hands-on Reiki. So there's so much senses being awakened on that Venus day. And honestly, it's like one of my favorite activities of the week. Something else that we've changed unintentionally is we used to dread doing any housework or chores, and it would kind of be hanging over us the whole weekend, and we'd get round to doing it at some point on a Sunday. We flipped that, and now we do all of that on a Saturday morning, which means we get it out of the way. We can enjoy the rest of the weekend without thinking about that to-do list. And it works because Saturn, which rules Saturday, honestly rewards the effort, rewards the hard work. And if you think about the fact that we live such busy lives Monday to Friday, it's quite common and normal to do errands and chores on a Saturday because that's the first free day that we have of the week. Getting it out of the way early on Saturday means that you can then try and, relax. I'm not saying do chores from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. It's, you've got to kind of find the balance. But it's little things like that where you look at your week and think, oh, okay, that's actually working. Now, obviously, this isn't a descriptive list of what you should do each day. It will be down to you as an individual, but there are definitely themes and concepts associated with the planets that easily become part of a routine. I'm neurodivergent, so I really love having little rituals and rhythms of the week, and it can be really fun. It doesn't have to feel like work. Now, another thing that I want to talk to you about is the magic of color. This is the most accessible entry point. Each planet is also associated with a variety of different colors. So the sun is associated with golds and yellows, the moon, white, pearl, silvers, Mars, red. Mercury is associated with orange, Jupiter is associated with purple, Venus, greens and pinks, and then Saturn, black, navy blue, dark colors. And you can really play around. It can be as subtle or as loud as you want. No one has to even know that you've kind of worn something of a certain color. It doesn't even have to be visible. But you could, for example, wear some little gold hoops on a Sunday or a smidge of red lipstick on a Tuesday. You've got so many ways to play around with it. You can be as inventive as you want. I also want to talk to you a little bit about altars. I've had both a Mars and a Venus altar that I've been working on, and that is tending to my fallen planets in my chart. It's honestly been mind blowing. So this is a whole nother episode. So I'm going to do a altars episode. So tune into that when I release this Astro Magic series. If there's anything I've said today that's piqued your interest, I've got a few easy ways for beginners to start engaging with planetary days. So the first one is keep a moon journal. Every month we cycle through all of the signs. The moon stays in each sign for roughly 2.5 days. So you can get into a really nice rhythm and you can just sit with your feelings, observe your moods and see how they correlate with the energy of the moon and start to really think about, okay, so maybe Tuesday is probably not a good day to have this heated discussion because it probably won't end up well. Maybe I could move that discussion to Friday. Venus is a bit more diplomatic. It's a bit more harmonious. You could also do a weekly audit. So if, for example, you're already going to the gym on a Tuesday, that's great. Tuesdays is about action, it's about doing, it's about stamina. But you also need to check in with your own kind of Mars. If your Mars, like me, is in Cancer or in the 12th house, going out and doing a 5K run probably isn't going to work. So you have to kind of work with your own chart. It's really important. Also look at the conflicts in your week. If, for example, you're doing, I don't know, admin on a Monday, you might feel quite lethargic and apathetic. Move it to a Wednesday if you can, because Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. So you might have more mental clarity to get through that to-do list. If we think about Mondays, we have like the Monday blues, and that's because the moon wants to be cozy. It doesn't want to be productive. We're not supposed to be working on a Monday. We're supposed to be having naps and having nice food and just chilling out. But, we live in a busy world where we have to work. Another thing that I do is I actively block out work meetings on a Monday and Friday where possible. I try and keep those meeting free so that the energy doesn't have to be, I don't have to put so much into it, especially external meetings where you might, for example, mask more. And if we think about Mondays and Fridays, both the moon and Venus do not want to work. They don't want to be productive. They just want to look cute and be cozy. So you've got to work with the energy of the days. Color association, I've mentioned this already. You could play around with different colors each day or choose one particular day, one particular color. You could also analyze your own natal chart and look at what planets you might want to enhance, or even the planets that are more challenging that you want to remediate when you're prepared to do some of that shadow work, for example. I think working with intention yields powerful realizations that can help govern positive change. And I've honestly been amazed by both the subtle and loud ways that the planets have shown up for me since I made the intention to engage in dialogue. I think the harmony between the individual and the collective becomes crystal clear. And if you're aware of this saying, as above, so below. So if you're interested in engaging with the cosmos on a deeper level, download my free Planetary Days worksheet and start your personal relationship today.